Hello and welcome to Shelf to Mount, the show where we dig out a lens that's been gathering dust to figure out if it's a hidden gem or just, well, gathering dust for a good reason. Or as my lens addiction calls it, step one is admitting you have a problem. And today's winner is this little guy, the Canon EF-S 10-18mm. I honestly can't remember the last time I used it. So the big question is, have I been sleeping on a brilliant, affordable wide angle, or is there a reason it's been stuck on the shelf? Let's find out. I honestly can't remember why I bought it years ago. I already had a few wide angle lenses in my collection, so I think the original idea was to use it for landscapes. But looking at my collection of photos tagged with this lens, I have barely anything with it. Which is odd since I've had this for a long time now. I'm wondering if my software just isn't picking it up from the XDIF data. The lens comes in the Canon EF-S mount. Now, if you don't know, Canon's old EOS line had two mounts. EF for full frame camera bodies, EF-S for crop sensor bodies. EF stands for electronic focus, and EF-S stands for electro focus short back focus. I don't know why, but I kind of feel bummed out by that. I mean, sure, it makes sense, it's just bland. But those of us who've been taking photos for years, we know the real meaning behind EF. It actually stands for effectively broke. And EF-S, that just stands for effectively broke, slightly cheaper. Back to the lens. Originally announced in 2014, it has 14 elements in 11 groups, including 2 aspherical elements and 1 low dispersion element. It features 7 aperture blades and weighs in at just 240 grams. So if it's entirely plastic body, that very lightweight makes perfect sense. For a plastic lens, it's not bad. Granted, you won't be winning any awards for build quality, but its lightweight makes it easy to carry along in your camera bag. The focus ring is quite small, but it makes up for that by having image stabilization, which is incredibly odd considering how wide this lens can go. I think it makes the most sense for video work, especially if you need a run and gun with the widest view possible. I can see it being useful for skateboard videos or similar action shots where you need a stabilized wide angle lens. As you would expect, this lens is a pokey monster. Sorry, I couldn't keep a straight face recording that. No, you would be lucky to find any bokeh here. For those who don't know, bokeh is determined by a few factors, with lens speed and focal length being 2 parts of the equation. Given this lens is incredibly wide and not very fast, bokeh is off the menu. Surprisingly, I didn't see any flaring on the photos I took, which I definitively expected considering how wide this lens is. Now, I did notice something a little weird with the colors, but a quick heads up, I'm adapting this Canon lens onto my Fuji camera. My editing software was throwing a bit of a fit with the RAW files, making them look a bit odd straight out of the camera. I'm 99% sure that's a quirk of my specific camera and adapter combo, not the lens itself. Just wanted to mention it in case any other Frankenstein shooters out there see something similar. Anyway, back to performance. To get the most detail, I made sure to stop down to f16 on some shots. This lens is so lightweight, it was a breeze to carry along with me on my walk. Now, for those who don't know, I love taking panoramas, and this lens is pretty much built for landscapes and panoramas. Panoramas with the lens are quite nice. At 100% crop, the images are somewhat soft, but when you view the whole image, it looks pretty great. I don't think this lens was made with super high resolution sensors in mind, as even at f13 the images aren't perfectly sharp. But again, scale the image down to a half size and it looks pretty good. So if you're thinking of getting this lens, just know it probably won't resolve perfectly on a brand new high resolution sensor. Lastly, you don't realize just how wide 10mm is until you use it. To put it in perspective, take the view from a normal 18mm lens. Now imagine it being so wide that if you're not careful, your own feet will end up in the shot. It's really wide. So in the end, where does the Canon EF-10-18mm fit in my collection? And the honest answer is, it doesn't really. Between my pro-grade L lenses and all the vintage lenses I've collected, it's become redundant for me. But, and this is a big but, that doesn't mean it's a bad lens. Far from it. I know exactly who this lens is for. If you're shooting with a Canon crop sensor camera and you want to get into those epic ultra-wide shots for landscape or even real estate without completely destroying the bank account, this lens is an absolute no-brainer. It's lightweight, the image stabilization is surprisingly useful for video, and you can find it for a great price on the second-hand market. It might not have a place on my shelf anymore, but it's a perfect step 1 lens for anyone diving into the world of wide-angle photography. So that was the Canon 10-18mm, a wide angle for the masses, as they say. But now I want to hear from you. What was your first wide angle lens? Was it a gem you still own? Or something you were happy to get rid of? Let me know down in the comments. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.